And this is just to show you too, like if we could provide you the tool, you could do it on your own, or of course you can outsource some of that service to us, or we can help you with that, you know, the initial first ones to get you a feel for how to convert, you know, into process and getting thinking process.
Right.
And that's what I meant. The value on that side is we could provide a bit more than just copy paste. You know, we'll make questions, and it's like running remote workshops in the way that we'll take what you gave us, do our best to actually make a process out of it, and then we'll come back to you with a lot of questions that will fill in the gaps where we felt that there was missing information.
Okay.
So first, here's to collect the details and reason for the call, right? And based on the call type, if it's a service request, I'm guessing it went to sales call management, which in this case was to dispatch to the sales team, I would expect, who would actually take, okay, what type of repair they're requesting, so on and so forth. But we had no details of this process. So this is a process in itself, but okay, we didn't have that one. You provided us the warranty call management. So in this case, if it's a repair request, it goes to the warranty call management process, which was the one you provided us. Or we just made an inference, like if it was telemarketing, to further scrutinize the call as to why they're calling, and if they think it's just a telemarketer, to take the caller's information and hang up with them, like not this automatic pass it to the CEO. And if it's a like a department valid request or employee, to dispatch it to that specific employee or department, you know, billing or operations and so on and so forth. But again,
so basically you started with reception, call dispatching, and then all the different types of calls that could potentially come in.
Exactly.
And being that I gave you the warranty call one, that's the one we're going to expand on, but you could take this as any calls that come in. You could have 7 different types of calls, and then those calls would all be related to a process in which they would follow.
Exactly. Based on the type of call, she has a different process to follow.
Okay.
And the one that you really specified was the warranty call management, as well as the warranty services, were the 2 procedures you provided us. So to us, those are actually why we put them into different parts of the hierarchy, is because really this one's around the call management still, versus this one where it was more the delivery of the warranty services. So these are the types of things we'll discuss with you. What is the best grouping mechanism based on your types of processes? But what you'll notice here is if it is a repair, with first thing is to mark it a lead in the system, get the details on the current issue, log the call. One of the gateways was whether or not there was rushing water. And if there's rushing water, it was to immediately transfer it to the warranty department, which actually triggered if I show you here, this goes directly to warranty review, which is to open the issue, which was part of the warranty services. Because then this was actually handed off to the warranty agent to deal with, because it's high priority because it's rushing water, versus the other path, which we logged info of the customer, answer within 3 days, to log the issues, and she closes the call. And so what I mean by that, there's 2 starts to this, the warranty services. One,
so what I'm seeing based on what I had provided to you is that once the call is ended, like we ended our process there, like we don't have anything past that. Is that a true statement? Because I sent you everything that we have on that.
So exactly, this actually ended, sorry, here, let me go to the warranty call.
So it can be very helpful in allowing you to see where there's holes in your process as well.
Yeah, for us, this was sort of what we understood based on what was provided. After that, she logged it, she ended the call, and it became a ticket in your system. But under the warranty review, it's the end of this process. But what's interesting is that this process is triggered 2 ways. One, next file. So meaning if it was just a logged incident repair request and it wasn't rushing water, it said that it was logged, it was as a ticket in the system, a file was created, but then that was it. And the warranty agent sort of just goes through file to file and opens the issue and actually checks, is it under warranty? Yes or no? Is the redemption date reached? Yes or no? Which will then trigger whether or not it goes to actually the issue prioritization. So prioritizing based on the type of repair and incident. Versus, in this case, is when the rushing water came in, it immediately came to the warranty agent to open an issue. That's what was extracted. But absolutely, when we start flowing it, then you're going to see where information is missing, and you may tell us, no, that's not the end of the process. There's 5 other things they need to do.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like looking at it from this perspective, now you can see it and go, well, no wonder once they hit production and it's a ticket that it gets lost in Never Never Land. It's because there's no follow-through process once the ticket comes in.
Correct. So that's something we would definitely try and scope out with you more around the whole ticket handling, and maybe you can look into what improvements could be made.
Right.
On that. And then what we notice is if it is under, it goes into issue prioritization, which again is the issue under warranty, repair, no warranty. Then if there was no warranty, was to organize a meeting with upper management and consider a repair resolution to set the priority and resolution for the issue. And the other, which was at a predefined date, redemption date reached, yes, check all ongoing issues and priorities to prioritize this issue against the other, and log the changes into the system, which then triggered the issue schedule and conduct repairs. So within schedule and conduct repairs, what you'll notice here was one was that you had to schedule the repair with the customer as well as with the subcontractor, if you're using a subcontractor. Then there's a delay based on, obviously, the actual scheduled date. It could be in 2 weeks, could be 2 days. I don't know what type of scheduling or how far out you're scheduling.
Right.
What you'll notice here is the conduct repair falls within the schedule and conduct repair, but as I mentioned earlier, that's actually some of your operating processes. So what's nice within the system is you can reuse processes. Residential services, I can indicate exactly where, you see, again, using these inter-process links that we call, where in residential services, meaning was it a roofing repair, was it a siding repair, based on the type, you have, of course, different processes. But we don't actually have to document and manage them in this area. If we feel like it's a different group that does it, which is normally, I guess, the construction workers.
Right.
So we can point to them and say where it triggers their process, but we can manage them independently. But what's interesting is then it comes back in to go to the inspect the repairs. And here we have the warranty agent, but I don't expect this to be the correct role. Maybe it's an inspector or the construction manager. So these are the types of questions we'd be asking you. And here you see another thing that you'll see often is in your procedures, it didn't take into consideration when decisions are made. What I mean is, and this is a common problem, it'll say step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, but it's always like considering that everything passes. So one of the things is, like it says, next step 4 was inspect the repairs, but what happens when it fails? I'm guessing, we said it went back to conduct new repairs, and I'm guessing there's another process.
Right.
Right, like, and then especially I'm guessing if you're subcontracting, what'll end up happening there is it should be the subcontractor that eats that cost because it was them who conducted the service and your inspection failed against them. So it shouldn't be something that you should have to pay additional hours against. And then if it's passed, it goes to the, if I see go up here, to repair closure. So what you'll notice here is to go to the quality control check, complete repair report, gather the invoice. And by the way, when there were more procedure, we tie those in. So there is the step-by-step and that you can add to every single activity that will then make that document at the end. That's what I'll show you, is that we can still generate document outputs. And if that's how we'll normally work with you if you want our support to actually help you with the initial migration, is we'll generate process books and then email them to you and then have discussions like on a 1 hour or half-hour block like we're doing today. And we'll go through one process at a time, come back to you with all our questions, or just email you a document with markup, like Word markup, comments and questions, and to point out so that then we can apply those updates. And then we'll do like a V1 for you to pass off, and then you can ongoing manage it on your end.
Gotcha. So the hardest part is determining the flow, because just so I'm clear, the process that we had sent you, was it in a format that was easily translatable?
For us it was, because we do it all the time. But I don't know if you have someone on staff who has that like process logic in their mind, or you know what I mean? It would be. It's easy to do. It's not like in terms of tool, it's just drag and drop, right? But maybe they won't think of the exceptions as much. So what you could expect from someone in-house doing it, they may, here as an example, if I do a new process, they'll probably end up mapping it much more straightforward, somewhat like was done in the procedure of today. What I mean by that, it'll often be a lot more of this. You're going to see a lot more straight through processing. Okay. This is what we often see with customers, not thinking of the other path. They'll think of the 75% path, but not on the other 25%. So that's what's good when you have someone questioning them. So another way we can help you too is, even if your team did the mapping, but then we can read through it and clean it up for you and do analytical testing. What I mean is, someone will test it process-wise to open up questions that then you guys can answer. Because at the end of the day, your people know the process. They do it on a daily basis, but they may not know so much how to question themselves of what is the process.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But they innately do know, if you get what I mean. It's in them, but you need to somewhat get it out of them.
Right.
So, okay. But the tool is very easy to use. Like I said, we could just do some web training for your team even. And there's some initial exercises that'll get them. And maybe to help them with the first couple, to get them thinking, we can do that, and then after that, your team can ongoing do it and manage it on their own. It's just a question of changing the way that they think.
Okay.
And then, of course, not only of the process, it's everything you could tie around it. So we started building out both your internal and external, and I think that's what's interesting with your organization too, is because you use subcontractors for a lot of the servicing. So you see, you could set up your clients, contractors, and suppliers, and then based on the type of projects, actually list out who your contractors are for those specific projects. And then, of course, you'll have your internal org chart that you can build out too, which we started on. based on finance, HR, IT, operations, sales, support. So under support, we put warranty, and within warranty was the, under warranty, we have the warranty agent, who is the role that we created, and I linked that role to Scott as an example. So the value is you link your real resources to these roles, and the idea is, right, one, especially when you're a smaller company growing, this is the benefit to grow, is that one role could have, sorry, one resource could have multiple roles. So let's say I'm the, not only am I the warranty agent, I'm also the receptionist today. I mean, a bit of a mix, but you get the idea. Especially someone like yourself probably wears 10 hats.
Right. So I was trying to explain this to my staff the other day. So in our industry, we are, being that we're in catastrophe, which, you know, it could be slow today and tomorrow could be a complete whirlwind. My explanation to them is like, we need to be an accordion, where it's like, if we need to add more people, then we can expand out. We can split those roles to new people. But also when it slows down and our temporary help is no longer there, or someone has to take on more responsibility, that we can collapse it back down. So what would be the easeability of changing those roles so that the proper people were doing the proper tasks, had the proper responsibilities in front of them? So if we pulled that, so per se, take the accordion and expand it out.
Yep.
And now what was the responsibility of 3 people is now the responsibility of 6. And then once it slows down, those 6 people go back to 3. How easy is it to make those changes?
Well, that's exactly the idea of it, is it simplifies it, because you should never link the resource to the task. So there were certain circumstances where we saw, like it said, resources names, because the resources, you could have turnover, right? That's the idea with growth and with downsizing. So the idea is you just the resource you associate to the role. So let's say we grow. So I was able to hire a receptionist. I took up the receptionist tasks. I hire, let's say, Jim, whatever, and I assign him as the role of receptionist. Immediately, that's it. Now, when I won't publish this yet because I just published adding receptionist to me, if you recall, a second ago. Mm-hmm. So what you'll notice is Scott Armstrong now, I'm warranty agent and I'm receptionist. And I can filter even on the receptionist tasks. So there's no manual creation. And you see, these are all the tasks that me as a receptionist, I'm responsible for. And the user can then click directly to that specific activity. So collect the details of the call and the reason. I have here online my step-by-step procedure of what to do. So you see it brings the user right to that task, and they can pop out a detailed procedure of how to do it. You know, I don't know if they logged the call into a system. I'm guessing standard information like reason for call, phone number, contact details.
Right. Okay.
So that's the whole idea, is that by working with roles, you're just check out. So it's always the same process. Check them out, and then apply the change, and then check it in. And when you check it in, a new version could either be draft because you're still working on it. But in this case, since it's a reassignment of a role, you just simply publish it immediately. So when someone comes in for training purposes, they have everything available online already.
Okay, perfect.
And the same thing goes for the documents. So if you want Word documents, as an example, for people to print and bring out onto job sites, or they can also have access to their processes on their mobile, you know, on their phone or on their tablet. But let's say you want to print out a process here. So within our document repository, for one, you can standardize on the documents that are used. That's another thing, that a benefit to digitizing your business, right, is one central repository for all the associated forms and even one thing that's popular today too, because you're in the construction industry, is they could actually, you can have them, record, take a video of the problem, if there's a leak, and then you can actually upload it into our repository and then link it with your project file or whatever that's associated. But what I mean is the how to do a repair. If you have someone who's like your I would say your expert or your best contractor.
Yeah, so like the repair tech.
That's exactly it. So then, right, not only having the step-by-step of what they're supposed to do, but you can even associate a video of how-tos. So again, you're increasing the quality of service. But what you'll notice here is that this warranty process is a document in itself. So I could have had a bunch of introduction sections, but we didn't have any, but obviously the purpose could be for providing warranty based on the expiration date, blah, blah, blah. And more importantly is you can include different processes. So as an example here, maybe we say in terms of the warranty SOP now, I want to include maybe not all reception processes, but the warranty call management, as well as let's say warranty call management process and the warranty services. So even though these fall under different headers, right? Warranty services and call management, we put them both into one document, including, we could say, including all the children. Okay. You see this? As well as I can add some appendices. So the idea is then I'll just generate a draft for you on the fly. We have different templates available, so that's the idea. Now your SOPs and work instructions will all be standardized because they all have the exact same structure, headers, footers, and include all the information, but the value is it's pulling all that information at the point of click. I'm going to say I want top, bottom, design, one image. We have some options there. I'm not sure on your colors, so I'll just put gray. Actually, here, I'll do a draft version because it'll stamp it draft. You'll see. So this, as you see, it's checked out. So what's really neat of these is you see it currently went out of date because I updated the process. So by updating the process, it triggers the document to automatically go out of date, and then you simply regenerate it with the latest version. So you never have to write out these documents anymore. So you see here, it generated my cover page, SOP for warranty process. It's draft version, so there's no, someone changed the logo. What you'll notice here, it built the entire table of contents. I have each version, so you can see Guillaume was the consultant that actually built it. All the versions. And what you'll notice here is then you have every step and every process. So you have the actual map, the goal, the step-by-step of each activity. So I see here the first step is to get details on current issue, which is the customer and the receptionist. And the application is your PMS application. And you see here there's a step-by-step procedure. Ask each customer that calls the following questions, blah, blah, blah. Are they original owners when the work was performed? Do you currently have water leaking? So you do this step-by-step, like I said, is available online as well as within the actual process map. So you see include.
So let me ask you a question. So like in this particular, like where you just highlighted. So we're working on changing our customer management software, and then where it will link any pages say on our website. So like our website have this operations piece could have a link that says, if the person calls, go to OLNEYA/warranty call, blah, blah, blah. And then the questions could be there. Then I could change it to submit, and then knowing hitting submit pushes it into my CMS software, which triggers a ticket, and then that ticket goes. So then I could change these as we start adding things that are more automated to our processes. We could change those and it would be very simple, correct?
That's exactly it. So just like a role, a system. So you can tag which ones are completely manual today versus system, and same idea in your process. You see, let's say these two, I'll assign responsibility to be done by the CRM as an example, and these two, let's do this. It's just like we just did. It's the same idea. Are done by the, and it could be both, right? Of course, say by the sales rep. So then,
And I think you're also meaning too, Crystal, that if you need to change, like if you change that procedure because you have a new system, there's a new, and right now you're sending them, in the future you'll be sending them directly to another linked system to look at it. You're right, you'd only need to change in that one area. All the procedures, you'd only change in one area and it would be changed throughout all the documentation.
Got it, okay. So changing it in one spot, I can change it in 4 different roles because I pick what role is attached to that specific task or piece of that process.
correct. You can make the change centrally here within the org module, and it'll update everywhere you used it in all the processes. And you just need to update whether it be one system or, like you said, what we do is application links, one application link to that system of where you do the work, whether it's a URL, file link, and they could actually open up the application from the process map.
Oh, perfect.
So, and even to the specific screen. So most applications nowadays, right, have URLs directly to every specific item, including us, by the way. So not only can you link from the task to that application, you can do it reverse too. So within the software that they do, you can put a link to the process and procedure. So when the person's creating a new customer or create a new incident, then they've never done it before, directly in that tool they can click and open up and walk themselves through the process or procedure of what to do. Clear? Is that clear? Yeah.
Sorry, I was just making a note. So, all right. So.
And then just want to show you something too here. What's really neat, just about everything we're talking about, let me jump to the appendices that were generated automatically. One, you'll see here's all the roles that were a part of the processes that we built, your processes, with all their steps. So the receptionist, upper management, warranty agent, with each of their activities, which with direct clicks, so they could even click to a specific task from here too. And then even for yourself and for IT, and to understand in one quick view, you see each role or system. So here's your PMS application, and each process and task of what is used. So get details on current issue. We can see the customer, the receptionist, and the PMS application is a touch point. This is automatic.
So a question would be, so I had talked about previously, so we have our St. Louis location, which is our corporate headquarters, and then currently we have one branch location. So someone in a branch location may be responsible for, say, reception, warranty agent, and I don't know, I'm just using those two as an example. And so we can outline what the flow of every process is, and then depending upon how we structure the branch location, we can say they're responsible for roles A, B, and C, and then I can put those in for our branch locations so that they know what they're to do on every single one of those. Yeah. Or then we can create a branch versus corporate, where if they go to where it says warranty call, like they would fill out all the information, and then it could have a branch location specific process that says notify the customer that this is being reviewed by the warranty department, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. So you can do branch. That's actually common, that you'll have corporate versus specific branch, and you can set them up with different org charts. And then what's interesting too is sometimes it's the same role, so you don't actually need to duplicate the role if they do the same tasks. So as an example, I could link, let's pretend there was a warranty agent in one of the branches. Same idea is you can create the role once and link it to more than one org unit. So you can standardize in terms of not only the process, but also then the roles across your different branches. Or it could be a separate role, right? Because they may be responsible for certain items and you're responsible for others. So both structures are supported.
Okay, so I have a pretty good understanding of how this operates. I'll go back to one of my biggest issues, and maybe this is something you had made mention, we can help build it out or whatever the case may be. So do you guys have consultants that work with you, or are they like separate consultants that, so like I use like Salesforce as an example. So like Salesforce software, they have consultants, you know, or independent people that help you build out your back end of your software. So this instance, what does that look like as far as what, I think the initial rollout, we will definitely need help with.
Right.
Once we get someone internally that has the capacity and the time to start updating, and once they understand the flows and how they will move forward, then we should be able to roll them out fairly easily. The integration piece is obviously going to be our number one hang up. And as I had made mention before on our call, is that things always look really cool when they're shown to us, but then once we get the software, we have no idea what to do with it.
Okay,
and
sure.
Being able to have the support in order to ensure that our investment is made wisely and actually use what we've purchased.
And that's what I was mentioning to you, is what I would recommend is we definitely have the resources available, and there's on twofold where I see would work well for you guys. First, an initial development of as much stuff as we can based on your current documentation. I mean, it's always valuable, like, you know, whatever you have today, there's a benefit there, and we can convert it. It gives a good starting point. Then it depends if you want to, you know, there's a cost associated to travel, so that's where you guys, you need to, you know, evaluate whether or not you want to always work remote, or if you'd want the consultant, you know, to come on site for 2 weeks or so, actually, after doing an initial migration, to actually do validations and working with your people for, let's say, a short period on site.
My thing with the like working with our people, and I'll be completely frank, and this is very eye-opening to see that there's holes in our processes. This is a process that I specifically wrote myself. I can guarantee you if someone sat with one of our people, they would get a completely different process than what is fact.
Right.
So doing remotely and getting as much information as we can to you guys, and then the management team putting those together, I think that'll be our biggest thing. And then we want our team to have some buy-in and value to the processes once they are outlined and they can see what they are, giving their feedback on where we could improve.
That's exactly it. That's what I was going to say. I would start with an initial chunk of time to actually build it out for you, and then even what would be valuable in my point of view is you can keep like an ongoing service contract, let's say for the next 12 months, but on a smaller amount. So you'll say, you know, we want access after that. Once we get through the initial building of, let's say, the first 30 days, after that, maybe 1 day a month, so that maybe for how-to questions or actually having the person continually to apply improvements or updates, but using that, let's say, 12 months to support your team to actually start applying the changes themselves and doing it on their own, but having someone to go to ensure the, success is achieved. Like you mentioned, you get the benefit out of the actual product.
So what does that, and maybe I'm not clear, I apologize. What does that look like? So obviously there's an additional fee for that.
Right.
So when you say ongoing service contract, that would be after the initial development is done?
Yeah, that's a recommendation. It's not a must, because you will have a service contract for the software, right? But that's more like you said, support in terms of installations, integration. That's part of your standard maintenance. But I just meant more on the consulting side. Let's say let's say you take 20 days up front for the bulk loading. I don't know how many processes, procedures you have, right? But I'm just doing a guesstimate to get your HR, or maybe some accounting processes, some construction processes in there. And then after that, to have still a support system in place for the consultant that you can, as your people take time to, maybe, like you said, apply improvements, they may want to have someone to go to still from a deployment standpoint, like how should we apply this? What's the best way to capture it within the tool, maybe?
Okay.
Your people could do it directly, of course. I was just saying if you want additional help, for the longer term.
So yeah, so I'll give you an example. So we obtained a product last year, and of course, in conversation, it's like, oh, it's very easy to get the information in there, and it's connecting this and that and da da da. And when they showed it, I'm like, well, that looks cool, but I know for a fact I don't like theirs was Excel spreadsheet, basically, like how to connect tables and all that stuff. I don't know how to do any of that stuff.
Right.
So what in turn happened is they're like, oh, well, we'll make sure that you're supported and blah, 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 and we'll help get this thing going. I am 12 months into the software. It's never went live inside of our company, and it's cost me over $7,000 for the year.
Right. No, I understand. That's not great.
Yeah, so when I'm saying I want to go into this to where I know that it's something that will work for us, like what does a development team or consulting team look like estimated for a company of our size? How many hours does it typically take? I mean, again, you don't know how many processes we have. Say we had 30 different processes that we wanted to put in there. Like, what does a typical time frame look like for that?
You know your processes better, but let's say based on what you sent us, if you had to, if I had to guesstimate, that was, let's say, 1 day to do what I showed you today. So I don't know if you multiply that by 30. I'm not sure. How big is this process versus other processes? If it takes about a day to build one, and really of this nature, like we did, to read through it, to actually scope it out, to build out all the stuff. You know what I mean? Because is this a process, warranty review, or is this a process, warranty services, right? Or is all of this one process? That's where it gets a bit harder to understand, is at what level, Because this is an hour, let's say, but the entire thing is a day. And
Nice.
the better that consultant knows your company, the faster it goes too, right? Because they get to know your business by reading all the different procedures. You can connect the dots a lot quicker than the first one looking at a new business.
So what's the average cost associated with the consulting fee, like per hour?
It would be $100 an hour. So if that gives you a good gauge in terms of the cost, then we can spread it out on something that is manageable for you.
So we'll just say 30 processes at an average of 8 hours each.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. That gives me a better gauge. Okay, and then we have the software fees, right?
Right.
So we had talked about before that it was the $7,000 per year, or it was $15,000 to purchase outright with the yearly maintenance fee.
Of 20%, right? Or 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 7,000 versus 15. So if we potentially, so I have a $24,000 expense to build out all my processes. And then I have another 15,000 in fees to purchase the software.
Right.
What does that look like as far as like structure of how that's paid for?
Well, that's what I was going to say to you is we could put it under a payment program for you that it'll spread it out for cash flow reasons. You don't need to do it all up front based on between the licensing and the service. So I'm not sure how fast you want to get up and running, but let's say over, I don't know, the next 6 months.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's something that would be manageable and how fast you want to get going, because if you want to be up end of January, have all the processes in there, then we'll need at least 30 days full time type thing, if you get what I mean. If we do more X number of days per week versus doing everything all in one chunk.
Okay. Are you familiar with software financing? Are you familiar with any of that stuff?
Excuse me, I didn't hear you. What software?
Software financing. So I just didn't know. There's companies out there that actually finance your software expense. Like if we said we wanted this thing up and running in 30 days, but we knew that we didn't have the $24,000 to drop in 30 days.
Right.
Like, are you familiar with any of those, or I'm just curious because we were looking at it for some other stuff.
Yes, we've used them in the past. I don't have like a strategic partner with any of those firms, but yes, there are multiple out there that exactly will do that. They'll take the sort of the risk and provide an interest rate for you.
Okay. So how will this what's the word? Sorry, I want to phrase this correctly. What is the limitations on the software from putting these processes together? Like to say, if I'm like, everything is great and our company today is $5 million and in 5 years we're at $30 million. Like, what would be limitations that would keep this software from getting us to maximum capacity?
From an end user standpoint, it's concurrent licensing, even at the low level, even at the small business version. So you have, let's say, 5 concurrent users, which can easily support 50, 100 employees. It's more just on the system at the same time. So there's a benefit there that each time you hire, you don't need to buy more licensing. So it's a scalable up to a certain degree. Then when you get to a certain size, you may want to upgrade to the business level, which opens up a lot more end users. In terms of the power users, you have 2. So again, I don't know if everyone will be mapping all at the same time, or you have someone who will be responsible for it, or what the strategy is there. And of course, we don't have, if our people are helping you, we don't eat your licenses.
Okay. So I guess when I ask what are the limitations, so you can go from enterprise to business. So there's no limitations as far as the number of concurrent users, because you can always upgrade to the business platform. What does that look like?
So it'd be from 15 to 35 would be, but remember, you don't need to upgrade. What I mean is you can add additional licensing from the end user standpoint without buying the upgrade, but the upgrade is includes other items like a advanced reporting module. It includes Active Directory synchronization and single sign-on and these types of stuff, which is more IT bound for larger companies. So if you want to go to that level, yeah, you're going up to the 35 level from 50 to purchase. So it's not huge, but.
Okay. So as far as like getting a company from 5 million to 30 million to 45 million in a short period of time, is there anything that would keep us from putting every process in the system that would encourage the automation, the processes, and the delegation of each responsibility?
No, that's what I mean. The only restriction would be when you cap out at, you have just so many employees, you know, if you're 5,000 employees, you know, 5 concurrent will not support it because they will be, well, it'll still be, you could still use it, but chances are some people will get blocked because when they go to log in, right, all 5 licenses could be consumed in parallel. But
what is the average amount of time that someone uses this? So I know that we had spoke about that it's used more for people that are newer to the company, but being that they have an end user platform and all their documents can be stored there and whatnot, what's the average amount of people that are typically logged in at one time?
We put a ratio, but it's a guesstimate. There is no rule of thumb, but we could say easily 25 to 1, besides the people in training, because someone in training will log in, right, and they're sort of walking themselves through their process. But after that, normally it's based on a ad hoc, like I need to just download a document. So you know, but downloading a document actually will consume the license for only 10 seconds. Right? Like I could have a direct URL to that document. It signs me in, checks my security. Do I have a view access to that document? Yes. Downloads it, and then I'm out. So it's not like, how do I say? It's not like I'm sitting there the whole time. Where you'll see more usage is when your team is, like you said, doing like an improvement project. So they really want to analyze it, or if they're in training, or if there's a new version of the process. Right? So it'll notify everyone that there's a new version, so make sure even you can force them to sign off that they read it and understand it. So, but again, they're in for a short amount of time, maybe 10 minutes, you know, to read
And then, similar to what you had done in the building of the SOP for the process of warranty, I could actually make this where I have employee handbook, and it's something that's just printed.
Exactly.
And then I could do my sales training manual, and then it's just a document that's printed.
That's exactly it.
Okay, and then you can attach photographs and things like that inside of those?
Yeah, on every step, it's full rich text. So that's actually something that's nice that we definitely recommend that, to put images. So as part of the work procedures, I don't know if I have a picture. Here, Brad Pitt. See, you can integrate them directly into the step-by-step tables, pictures. You copy from Word. You know, it's full rich text editing. So the value is on every step you're writing the specific procedure to that task. And as I mentioned, it supports video, so you can have media as well. Links that open a YouTube video, as an example, or the video could be stored inside of our repository. We don't. We support that.
And then, so quick question back. So like in the video how-tos, at the end of the video how-to, I can have a link that says, now we have a quick quiz that you watched this video, click the link, and then it sends the test results to the admin.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
There's no limitation in terms of document type. I don't know if I have a video, but I could have showed you videos. No. Yeah, I just upgraded my laptop, so I don't have much content in here.
That's okay. And then so we can do all the different manuals. Then you can do all the different processes, and then So we build two different divisions. You have residential and commercial, and your residential processes are done one way and your commercial processes are done another way.
Yeah.
Those can all be inside of here based on the different drop downs.
Correct. You can either, so in my case, exactly, I did it this way, but exactly, you may say that they're really independent, so you want to actually set up a grouping, residential versus commercial. And what's interesting too is you may have some processes that are reusable. So you only need to build them once, and it could be the same process based on residential and commercial in certain circumstances when you get down to a level 2, 3, right? So as I showed you earlier, we have what's called process referencing. So you build it once, you reuse it as many times as you want, and then you update it though in one place. So all your processes, you know, between commercial and residential, you may have some overlap, of course.
All right, so then I could even break it down even further. So we do insurance restoration, and then we do retail. So it could be residential services, and then you could go here where you have insurance or retail, and then you could break it down into your categories.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Okay.
That's the idea, is that you're breaking your processes down into more manageable pieces, but then still being able to, at any point in time, at any level, generate end-to-end views. So you can blow out all those processes in flat map and in swim lane. So you have different roles in the company. So you see here, the warranty agent versus the receptionist.
Okay.
So that's where we were saying you're just simply linking the role, and then all the views are generated automatically. You don't need to ever make any other changes. So for maintenance, it saves a lot of time.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, putting that together for me was very helpful. That gives me a much better, it's always interesting to see somebody else's, but it's like, how does that translate down into how we do things? And I'm a visual person, so being able to see it where it really owns in on who we are as a company, and being able to realize the biggest insight that this gave me today was we have a lot of holes. And
well, that's the real advantage of looking at it in a visual like this. You can really point them out quickly.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's super helpful. Like I said, my biggest obstacle that I think we will be facing, and this is something, I have a meeting today with a couple of my upper managers. We're trying to integrate a new CMS software as well as putting in the processes. So it's a matter of time. Who can donate the time to this, and working with a consultant to ensure that we have maximum
Value, right?
we can use this to its maximum capacity as quickly as possible. Because
we can help you too, actually, because I don't know what you're moving to. Are you moving to Salesforce? Is that because you mentioned Salesforce earlier?
No. Well, we've looked at Salesforce. We actually are looking between Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics.
Yep.
But based on what we know, and what we know we don't know, it looks like Microsoft Dynamics is probably going to be the software that we're looking to go towards, based on our industry.
We have both of those, and that's actually something we can help you actually flow out. Let's say you're using the default processes or not. Those are great initiatives when you're rolling out new platforms to actually capture what you guys currently do today, because as you mentioned, you either need to adapt to the CRM or adapt the CRM to meet your process, right, one way or another, and there's a cost value evaluation you always need to do. So we know these CRM processes very well, and we actually have both of those tools. So whichever you decide, we can actually help flow them and take screenshots and, you know, like, get you thinking too in terms of then how you're going to customize Dynamics to meet the actual process.
So which one do you think I always say, which one comes first, the cart or the horse? So obviously processes are important in order for your software to work effectively. So how would this improve the ability for us to put our CMS software together correctly?
Because it creates the requirement. So the same thing as we do those work instruction documents, you can output a rec document that actually then you're giving to either IT or to the external company that then needs to configure it to meet your needs. And so like what I mean is there's a big value, and this is what all customers say, like that had new rollouts in terms of CRMs or ERPs that cost so much and they didn't get the benefit, and they said, oh, I wish we first took a step back and understood what we did before just pushing in a new tool. To be very honest, it gives you a blueprint of what your processes are to actually then deploy the new system. You see a lot of less downtime and changeover time. You need to retrain a portion of your company to now use a new system as well.
So with laying out the processes in advance in something like this, do you feel like it would decrease the amount of consulting time that would be needed to build out the platform for our CMS?
I think one, it'll decrease the amount of time and cost, as well as for your training purposes afterwards, post-deployment, you'll have a lot less everyone constantly bothering you of how do I do this, how do I do that, not knowing how to use the system or resisting a new tool. Like, okay, we rolled out this new great CRM so we can manage everything in it, and no, I don't know how to do that. I'll just still keep using Word and Excel like I've always had.
Right.
Sometimes the hardest thing is changing the people. They don't know how to do it, so they fall back very quickly.
Yes, trust me, I am very well aware of that. So just to give you guys an idea, the main goal of like looking at your software and then looking at Microsoft Dynamics is to collapse time inside of our company. With that being said, you had made mention, you're like, well, it depends on if you want to have it done in 30 days or 60 days or 6 months or whatever that looks like. We have a target this year to increase revenue by about 55%.
Okay.
And then, so this coming year, we're looking at 5.6 million to end 2017. By 2021, our projected target is 30 million.
Wow.
So when I was doing that earlier, we really are trying to collapse time and determine how we can most effectively grow the business with the least amount of headaches.
Right. So the high growth period, that's the problem I find always is that where you'll get, because you're going to hit a wall where your growth will be stinted by your own internal knowledge, like your knowledge as an example. What I mean is as being the expert and been in the industry for so long, how do you pass off all that expertise and not reduce the amount of quality of service? That's the other challenge companies have, is when they hit high growth periods, you can't be on top of everything, right? You need to rely on the people that you have in place, and at the same time, you need to ensure the same quality of service. Otherwise, you'll lose customers based on a satisfaction level. So it's that growth game that is challenging. But at the end of the day, the core of your business is your business processes.
Right. So in your experience in a company that is growing, this particular platform, how does it improve the onboarding process and save on, what's the word I'm looking for? Save on training costs? So
the onboarding, that's again a process that we've mapped so many times, so we can help you with that. With the HR processes, we have a lot of experience with those. Because again, whenever it's support processes, they're, whether it's IT, HR, finance, every business has them, right? So they're the more similar ones. The more challenging processes are when you get into the core processes, really what you do as a business. In your case, construction, and Others could be banking or pharma or whatever. So in terms of onboarding, the benefit is same idea, having even just a standard of KU where you post. In your case, dealing with the contractor seems to be critical based on how many people you hire versus when to leverage contractors. That's that juggling game, I'm guessing. Right. Higher profit if you hire, but higher risk because if contracts don't come in, right, you still need to pay the salary.
Right.
And making rules against your hiring too, and if there's any certain credits you can get. So with the selection criteria, as I know, you're a woman-based company, which is I don't know in your state if they support that. So in some states, or they will actually give you credits against female hirees in specific industries. But I don't know, like that's what I mean. It depends on your industry, depends on the state, and all sorts of credits and things you can tap into. Because that same thing you made, or hiring a minority, because you again get support. So in construction, maybe hiring a minority race, there's kickbacks you can leverage at times.
So putting in the rules of a hiring process, getting them trained effectively because the processes are there. And I don't know typically what size business you can give me an example of a company that's come aboard and put this platform into place. What would be their average return on investment?
We have a calculator that Leanne can send you that could definitely bring you value on all these different items, like reducing number of errors is a big one. Onboarding is a big one for training. One of the biggest ones that people don't think of is knowledge loss. So maybe, yes, you will get people on board faster and better in training, but what about the guy who's been there for 10 years and he leaves? That's where the biggest cost to your business, when he leaves with all his processes in his mind, that's where you start having real challenges. They bring someone in new. And another thing that a cost of onboarding that you need to consider is not only the cost of training the new person to get up to speed quicker, but more importantly is when you're in a fast growth paced business is the cost of the person who needs to train that individual. So if that's that resource who has been there a long time, who knows it all, if he needs to handhold each new employee, it's extremely time consuming and costly because you end up with a downtime each time you hire, because now the person who is working at maximum capacity with all the knowledge has to spend a whole lot of time hand-holding the new guy. But we have this calculator in Excel that you can plug in some numbers into all this stuff and come out with ROI based on there's a whole series of quantitative benefits that you get out of actually capturing and visibility of your processes and roles and responsibilities.
Okay. So just to circle back so that we can wrap up. So from the development team or the consulting, what is the availability for someone to help us? So say we wanted to get our main processes done in the first 30 days.
Yeah, I have a consultant, the one who worked on your process, available right now, luckily. So he just came off of another project. So he can start working, as of tomorrow, to be very honest, through to the new year.
Okay.
So I do have resources available.
All right, perfect. And then as far as your payment options or programs, that'll just be contingent on what we're looking to do moving forward.
Exactly, the speed.
So the yearly subscription at $7,000 versus purchasing it at $15,000. What if at the end of the year we decided to purchase it?
Yeah, we can credit you. Normally what we do is if you decide to purchase within the first 6 months, we'll credit, I think it's 75%. Or if you within the first year, by 12 months, it's 50%.
Okay. All right.
So you do have the flexibility there. Do you have budget before end of year? This end of this year? I'm guessing it's your fiscal is calendar.
Yeah, fiscal year. So like I said, we're trying to do this and Dynamics at the same time.
Yeah.
My accountant's about ready to have a little meltdown. All he sees numbers. He's like, oh my gosh, she's spending all this money. I'm like, well, you have to spend money to make money.
Right.
It's a matter of figuring out budgetary. I should have numbers from Dynamics from our development team on that side by the end of this week. And then these numbers are helpful for me here. I know from past experience, I spent about $40,000 to have an SOP done, which we had spoken about previously.
You had, I didn't know that. You spent $40,000 on one SOP?
Yeah.
Oh.
Back in 2012, and it just sits on a shelf somewhere. I don't know. I don't even think anybody ever even looks at it, other than me going, we have to put processes back in place, and like, well, I know this process was here before, and like, it's mayhem. And I'm like, we took this company from 2008 was our first full year at just under $1 million, and by 2011 we were at 6.5. And it was all built on just having people in place that knew what they were doing. But, you know, I highlighted out the knowledge value lost, the people that are no longer there, was huge impact to us. And I make mention on a regular basis, it's like you can't build a company on a sandy foundation. It's like quicksand.
Right.
So, our goal is to get us to that 30 million mark, which I know we can do, but we're not without the right pieces in place.
It's like you said, it's putting the foundation, because otherwise you grow rapidly, and then like you said, the company starts not only becomes more inefficient, but the stability of the service becomes, like I said, that's where you can run into a lot of issues against maintaining customer satisfaction. Is hard when you get into high growth and limited processes in place, because someone's going to pay for it.
Right. Okay.
So we can put together proposals based on our discussions, and something that I think hopefully will work for you, and we can help you out with the payments, you know, as best we can. Of course, if it's service side, where we're going to have the consultant on this project, so that side we can spread out a bit, but it's more as you consume. And if, of course, it's end of year right now, so for us too, it's always beneficial. So we are providing good rates, pricing for any orders placed before the end of year end, because it's our year end. All right. Thanks for the call.
So, Crystal, on my side, Crystal,
I'm here.
On my side, I'll put together those pricings, as well as send you stop the video. You can stop recording it, and we'll send the video off to her, as well as I'll send you the ROI, so you can play around with some of those numbers also.
Okay, and then just for my own peace of mind, do you have some clients that you could send over that I could speak with that have used this platform?
Yeah, of course.
Definitely can pull together. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate both your times today. It's been very useful and insightful.
Perfect.
And I definitely will look for the ROI calculator, the references that I can call, and any information that you can provide for follow-up on this call, so that I can make a very sound business decision.
Great, thanks, Crystal.
Great, Crystal. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You guys have
thank you
for this. Warm in the snow.
Okay, you. Thanks. Okay. Bye. Have a good day. Bye-bye.